So I grew up in Manhattan, and this is one of my favorite, most out of touch, Upper East Side, rich people stories I have. And I have a lot of them because I grew up there. How cool you are is based off of what school you attend in Manhattan. So my school was the lowest school. This is important to the story. But first you need to know about the school, all the schools above me. Top private school is like Spence, Chapin, Trinity. Those kids really early on are like attending charity events. That's where they're having their first sexual experience. Private schools below that, like Poly Prep, Columbia, they're buying tables for nightclubs like Butter. You have like the cool public schools like Beacon, Stuyvesant. Kids are very like early like entrepreneurs. And I remember they would like rent warehouses and then like charge kids a fee to come in. And they always would take a photo of themselves smoking a cigarette and drinking a 40 on a fire escape. Now the school right above my school, called Dwight. What the school stood for was dumb white idiots who get high together. If that's the school above my school, you can only imagine what my school was known for. My school was a school for people who are neurodivergent. But at the time, this wasn't what it was today. Being neurodivergent wasn't trending. I don't know how else to put it. To explain where we were socially, we would attend school dances sober. My school, we actually got to play sports among all the other schools in Manhattan. And one time we had this school, Lee Francais, come play basketball at my school. It was known between our school, between all of Manhattan, that everyone wanted to play us because they could beat us. We're neurodivergent people. We're not known for sports. Art? Yes! Whenever there's a visiting team, that team will use the girls' locker room. This is very important to the story, okay? And the whole time they're playing against our team, they're in French mumbling the R word. But these idiots think we're idiots, but they are actually the idiots because they don't know that the R word is the same in both languages. And then, truly, I would actually call it like a miracle, my school somehow beats them. And so the next day, I'm about to go into the girls' locker room for gym class, and the teacher stops me, and they're like, oh, you actually can't use the locker room today. And I'm like, why? And they're like, oh, we don't know, but you just can't use it. Come to find out, Les Français was so mad that the neurodivergent school beat them that they peed in the girls' locker room and wrote the R word with their French piss. I grew up in Manhattan, and this is one of my favorite, most out-of-touch rich people stories, and I have a lot of them because I grew up there. So I was teased at my Manhattan school, and my mom did something so unhinged to make me feel better about the situation. I'll tell you what they teased me about, but first you really need to know the two types of girls at my Manhattan school. There was the entitled rich girls. They only lived between 59th and 96th Street, and they would always just casually talk about money. I think my bat mitzvah was like $100,000. Or there was Uber Eats or Postmates. They would always have those bike messengers at their apartment delivering desserts from Magnolia Bakery. Now these girls weren't obnoxiously mean, but I was never invited to their Hamptons house on the weekend, and then I would just have to see photos of all of them in a jacuzzi together doing the Snooki duck face. Now the other group of girls, they weren't entitled. They all had after-school jobs working at a cool sneaker shop in Soho on Broadway. They were really into hip-hop fashion. They would all be wearing Echo clothing, with the giant rhino logo on the t-shirt. A group of girls were obnoxiously mean to me. They would always find excuses why I couldn't sit with them at lunch. My favorite excuse they ever came up with was that it was do-rag week and I didn't own a do-rag. I go home and I'm hysterically crying. And my dad comes into the apartment, and out of a paper bag, he pulls a do-rag out and he goes, they got every color of the rainbow of these things. So the next day, I walk into the cafeteria with my do-rag on. I'm thinking, oh, now I'm gonna make some friends. And they all see me and start laughing at me, and go home. I tell my mom the whole story. Mom is boiling chicken, stabbing the chicken with her fork, going, those bitches, those. Now this is important to the story. Most parents would call the principal up, call the kids' parents up, and my mom wanted revenge in the only way my mom knew how. I can't believe I'm telling the internet this. She goes to me, you know what we'll do? We'll get them fat. That my mom had such warped thinking when it came to food. She thought feeding these girls just one cupcake, they would become fat. Next day at school was my birthday, and my mom in the kitchen's making the cupcake, and I'll never forget, she's singing this song, once on the lips, forever on the hips. But my mom comes into the classroom, the mean girls start eating the cupcakes. I'll never forget what my mom was saying to them. Take another! There's more where that came from. Just as you imagined, nothing happened. No one got fat, no one even farted. Worse, when I get home, my mom goes to me, you know those girls? They're really nice. Friends with my bully. She's eating the cupcakes, but in her version of eating, which is just using her middle finger to wipe the frosting up. Is this how you talk to the girls? No wonder why they don't want to be friends with you. So I grew up in Manhattan, and this is one of my favorite, most out of touch, Upper East Side, rich woman stories I have. And I have a lot of them because I grew up there. First off, we just have to talk about how rich people, they love to check in on their staff with their little nanny cams hidden throughout the home. And a lot of the time, they don't tell the people that work for them that there's cameras there. And they don't think it's an invasion of that person's privacy because they're working in their home. This is very important to the story. So my parents go away for the weekend and they need someone to watch their designer dog. And everyone knows wealthy people love their dog. So it's a very specific person that has to watch their dog. And so my parents are away. They're in their hotel room. My dad pulls up the nanny cam footage on his phone. And he's looking at it and he realizes that the dog is on the couch barking. And then my dad pulls up the other footage facing a different way to see what is the dog barking at. Now, what is the dog barking at is the person who's supposed to be watching the dog straddling a man on my parents' orange couch, heavily making out. And my dad's like, did you say that she could have people over? Does she have a boyfriend? Who is this guy? And then like moments later, the girl takes the guy's hand and they go off into my parents' bedroom, which by the way, my parents don't have cameras in there. Then moments later, she comes out of the bedroom now wearing like a long t-shirt and the guy is wearing jeans without a t-shirt on. Clearly, we all know what they were doing in there. When my mom's telling me this story, she's like, I'm telling you it was a Tinder thing. Because the whole time she's going to him, leaning over the counter in this little t-shirt, and you could see her legs and everything going, are you my F-boy? Do you want to be my F-boy? If he was her F-boy, why would she be asking him? And the F-boy, without a shirt on, is just looking at the New York City view going, it's crazy. One moment you're a construction worker, and the next you're in this luxury building. Mom tells me that he like abruptly was like, I have to go. I have to get up in the morning. I'm like, okay, well, what happened? Did you text her? And my mom's like, we did text her. And we said to her, we didn't tell you could have company over. No more guests for the weekend. We'll talk about this when we get back. Oh my God, I even feel anxiety for this girl. So then she had to be there for 2 days just like knowing that the whole time they like saw her on the camera. She probably doesn't even know that there was like cameras in the bedroom. I feel like this is the most important part of the story. I asked my dad, did you tell her there's cameras in the home? And my dad really just like skirted that question and just went, she walked into a gold elevator. She didn't think there'd be a camera or two in the home.